All right, we're going to get started. All right, so if they get here, they get here, but I won't let you hold you up any longer. So, Kenna, Ashley, how are we doing today? You're good? All right, so obviously you guys know who I am and what I do. So just wanted to give you a little bit of information. I put this together. The number one question I get is, how do I go about getting into college golf? We always hear that. I think I always get the feedback that I hear that there's a lot of scholarship money, there's a lot of available things out there, but we don't know how to get them. So I wanted to help with that. Plus, I know when I was going through this process many years ago that I didn't know this stuff, and I wish I did. So it was stuff that nobody told me. I actually found it out eventually, and I was already a senior in high school, and it was already kind of a little bit too late for me to get what I wanted, but and I had to kind of go an alternative route into college golf. So the theme of what we'll see tonight is, all right, if we get on top of what we're going to talk about, and it's going to seem a little overwhelming at first, but if you get on top of it, if you get, if you kind of get everything going and you get working through it all, you're going to see that, hey, it is very doable to do it. So, hey, Jim. Hey, Nick. How are we doing? Right on time. Come on in. So we're just getting started. How are we doing? Hey, Nick, how are you? Good. Here, I'll give you one of these. I'll give you one of these too. So we're just going over, just saying this is stuff, hopefully give you a little information. I know I've had the question about how this process works, and hopefully I'll be able to answer some of those questions for you and see, what you got to do and help you get on top of it. So we'll go over what we're going to talk about tonight. It's going to be, how do you find the right college? That's always the number one question. It says, it's a tough decision to make. For the kids in here, you're 16, 17 years old, and you're expected to kind of know what you're supposed to do with the rest of your life. That's kind of what it feels like. So what does that look like? How do you go about making that decision as you're trying to pick out a college? How do you contact the school when you start picking them out? What do you need to be successful to get recruited? How do you stand out, make yourself different? And then we'll go over a couple of rules, and I'll answer any questions that you guys have. So the first thing is finding the right college. Okay, what's the right college? Everybody always come up and ask me, and they'll say, all right, hey, so and so wants to play college golf. I said, that's great. What do we need to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is figure out where they want to go to college and what does college look like to them. So this is a discussion that parents and the junior, so you should have it together, and you need to go over these areas. First off, academics. What do you want to study? Again, that might be very fluid, but you need to have a general idea of what you want and start thinking about what you might like, what you like. All right, and parents, your goal is to help them with that and say, hey, well, maybe, most likely, kids, you don't know what you want to do. How you doing? Good. Grab one of these. So, most likely, you don't know what you want to do with the rest of your life, and if you think you do, it might change. All right. Me, I was I think I had 4 majors in college. So, that's just the way it can go. I thought I knew what I wanted, then I thought I wanted this, and I thought I wanted this, and then I ended up in this. And, it's just how it goes. That's what happens when you're 20 and 21 and 22 years old. So, it's picking out academics. What do you think you want? And parents, your job is just to say, hey, well, maybe if they don't know, all right, well, hey, you're pretty good at this. What do you think about something in this? Or what about this? Kind of help them guide through this and say, okay, maybe this is where the path could be. The next is location. Do you want to go far away? Do you want to stay close? Do you want to go warm? Do you want to go cold? Stuff like that. Do you want to be near other family members? I ended up going out to Arizona. Big deciding factor was, I wanted to see a different part of the country. I did have family not too far away, and I had a lot of family friends very close, so it made it a lot easier for me to go out there. Some people, that's not the case. You want to think about that as you're going through. The next one, and I would look at it in this order, is the golf ability. Okay? The golf ability is next. You want to look at academics first, the location, then the golf ability. Where's the program at that you're looking for, and where's your own golf ability at? You want to kind of figure that out and say, hey, this is where I'm at now. Maybe I get here, but let's look at what we're at right now, and let's see what's available. Then you go and look at it for the school. Okay, then you're going to say, all right, hey, as we go through, what's the school that I'm looking at? Where are they at? I'll go over and I'm going to show you what that looks like, but you want to make sure you're at a school that has an ability that's somewhat where you're at. If you're somebody that shoots low 80s, mid 80s, or high 80s or 90s, there's a place, for on the girls' side, there's a place to play college golf, but it wouldn't be at like the top 5 programs in the country. That wouldn't be where we'd look for. Okay, we'd spend a lot of time sending in a lot of materials to them, and we wouldn't get a good response from that. So we'd feel like we'd be wasting a little bit of time there. The next one's financials. You always want to take that into account. You never know what's going to happen. Injuries. Somehow they get a massive influx of recruits and all of a sudden you're not on the team anymore. That rarely happens, but I've heard of it happening. You want to look at that situation, just make sure that it works out. I'm going to go over what scholarships look like in golf. It is rare to get a full ride, but you can get a big ride, okay? It's possible to get a good amount. And then the last one is the social part. I think that's a big time overlooked aspect of college. That might be one of the most, for me, I know that was a very valuable piece. Not the, you're not going to college to, party and all that per se, but meeting people, being able to network, that's a big deal. And what does school look like to you? Do you look at it as I want to be in a big city school, small town school, a lot of people, not a lot of people? Do you want to be the big fish in a small pond? Do you want to be the little fish in a big pond? That type of thing. And the reason why we look at all of these factors, and I do a little work at Governor's State down here, and we have this issue, and I'm just talking with a lot of different coaches. The one big issue in college in general, but college golf, is getting kids to graduate and finish out their years and not investing money and having them not be happy with the overall process. So you want to make sure that it's a place where you go and the kid's going to be enjoying their experience. And that's not just golf, it's everything that goes on there. Remember, the number one goal of going to college is getting a college degree, getting an education, furthering your chances of getting a good job, so you have a head start on your career as you go through. So you got to take into account everything as we go through this. And this is what we do with that. So this is what I do with it. There's a database out there. It's called the Ping College Golf Guide. I subscribe to it, so anybody on Macaulay or any of the students I teach, I'm happy to do this, is we can enter all this information in. You can see, we can look it up. Here's the state, how many kids are at the school, town population, any division. I don't get too narrow on that. We'll kind of leave that open. But majors, again, you might not know, but I do have kids come to me and they say, oh, I want to be a nurse. Well, we better make sure there's a nursing program at their school. ACT and SAT score, if you haven't taken it, not a big deal. Okay, you do want to get it done eventually, but we don't necessarily need that. And then we can put in the golf ability. So like we could say, hey, we're looking for the number 3 player, shoots less than or greater than. Usually we go greater than, like 85, and we'll get a list. Okay.
What's that called again, Scott?
This is the Ping College Golf Guide. So, and it's something, if you want to, I can do that for you. Okay, so you don't have to pay for it. Okay. I think it's $70 a year, though. It's not outrageous. So here's why you do this part first. You go through your steps. Because here's what happens. When we go through and do that search, this is a list. I did narrow it down just a little bit, but I didn't do a ton of it. I think I put in just the score. Like, hey, this is my score. This is the list you'll get. We're just starting the C's, and we're at 44 schools. So we're just starting the C's there. So with the criteria of just score, and I think I said under 85, okay? Actually, this one I said under 80, I believe. But under 80, we're all of a sudden, we're going to have a list of like 200 schools. So you want to start narrowing down some criteria before you even start doing this, because in a few minutes I'm going to go over what you got to do. And you're not going to want to do it for all these schools. You want to do it for like 5 or 6 schools. You want to start there. That's kind of the sweet spot. If we can get 5 or 6 schools, send out our info, and if they say no, then we pick out another one. But that's where you want to get, is try to narrow down this list so you don't have a list that's massively long and you'll be spending all your time sending out info. So the last thing you want to consider in college scholarships, just kind of introducing us into this process, is this is what college golf scholarships look like. You'll notice women get more for golf. Just the reason being is you have to have equal scholarships across all of your sports, and the men have football. So that balances you out. You'll see you get NAIA junior college as well. You can get them. That's a route that a lot of people don't think about. There are some pretty good junior college teams out there. Moraine Valley, for example, around here is actually pretty good. So that's always an option to have. And also it's a good way to, if you have to get like general eds, things like that done, the beginning part of your classes, especially if you're not sure what you want to do as a major, it's a great option to have. Now, the one thing up there is you'll see Division III says none. That means they don't give any athletic scholarships in Division III. Now, that doesn't mean we avoid them. I just had a player, she just signed 3 weeks ago to Augustana, which is Division III, and it's a very nice school. And she's getting 50% of her tuition paid, but it's coming to her in the form of grants, scholarships, things like that. So what happens with the Division III schools are you talk to the coach, they're going to want you on their team, they're going to help you figure out where the money's at. Okay? They're going to they know where they can get some extra money in grants, they know these scholarship angles. So it's not coming to you in the form of a traditional athletic scholarship, but they're going to package together some sort of financial aid because you're going to be playing golf. They're going to work harder for you to get that. So always you just keep that in mind as you go. So it can scare people off saying, oh, it's Division III, I don't do athletic. That doesn't mean you're not going to get any money. So it just means you got to talk to the school about it and figure out that part. So we'd go through that. That's going to say, all right, hey, we're getting an idea of where we want to go for schools. So we'd put together that list. We'd hopefully get a list going. Hopefully it's not 100 or 200 names deep, but we'd get a list of it. And then we'd start contacting them or figuring out what we're going to do. So how are we going to contact them? It's just like going for a job. You've got to do a little research. You want to figure out a little bit of the information about the school. So who's the coach? How's the golf team? How are their academics? All of that good stuff that we're just talking about, how it fits in for you. And then you're going to take some information and present it to the coach. You want to look like you know that you've done your research when you do this, because college coaches get a lot of materials. They have to go through a lot. They get a lot of requests to play for teams, and some more than others. But you want to respect their time and make it seem like you're not wasting their time. They're kind of good or bad. I don't know if it's a good thing, but they're kind of looking for a reason to throw one in the trash and not have to follow up on it. They want to narrow down their pile of possible recruits if they can. So, like I said, what you're looking for, this is off of that Ping site. This is, if you click on one of those schools, this is what you get. So you'll get, this is University of Illinois, and it's not showing up super clear, I know, but you get the name of the school, Division I. You'll get their tournaments from last year. Then their tournaments they're playing this year. You can click on those and see how their players are doing. You can see where they finished. Now, Illinois is the best men's program in the country, so they're very good. So when we look at this, we go back and look at it, you do want to pay attention to, this is where you're doing your research. You want to look at the courses they're playing. So like, you can't see them, but that's Rich Harvest Farms, Olympia Fields North, Crooked Stick, literally all courses that have held major championships in the professional golf world. So you just want to pay attention. Like sometimes we'll see kids are like, oh, I shoot 68. They shoot 68. Well, yeah, look at the course they're playing on too. Like it helps you figure out where you're at. You also see contact info. That's what you're going to need. Okay. You can find this on the websites. Okay. And you're going to find a little bio about the coach. All right. So you can find this on the website. I like the golf guide because it's right there. You get everything you literally need to go. And put your package together that you're going to send out. So something to look at. But again, you can get this on the site if you just go do a little research. It is findable. And so you're going to get this. You can see we saw all those top 4, that information. Now we got to present it. So we put together a package. All right. So here's what this package looks like. And yeah, this one's on the sheet for you, so you can. The sheet I gave you, it's going to be listed there, so you have it. The first thing will be a letter. One's going to be a golf bio. Okay. Then referral letters and swing video, Edufy. I'll go over what that stuff is. So first thing's a letter. Okay. Now when we get into this, all right. So we said at the start, parents, junior, the golfer. You guys we want you to communicate. I want you to communicate with each other and figure out where you're going. It should be a very open conversation, very open-ended, just getting a feel for what this is going to look like, okay? And parents, you're there to guide them. Hopefully not be critical of anything, just guiding them along the way. That's a tough decision to make, so guiding them through. This is the part where I always get the question, who should be doing this? This is where the junior takes over here. Okay, this is a letter to a coach. This is a good example of what it looks like. It's just a properly formatted business letter. You know, you get in Word and use the template they have. You're going to write, this is me. My name's so and so. I am a junior at Mother McAuley High School. I'm interested in playing golf for your team. I've done a lot of research. I feel like I'd be a really good fit. I'd be a valuable asset because of this, and this. And I've got stats, tournament history, picking if you do tournaments, your upcoming schedule, they can watch you, and then any letters of recommendations from golf pros, coaches, anybody. That's what it would look like. For those of us that have applied for jobs, that sounds a lot like a cover letter of just going for a job, right? So that's what we're looking for. Again, number one thing, and I've talked to a lot of coaches about this, number one thing is it has to be written by the kid. If they see one that's written by an adult, they're immediately going to throw it away. The one thing you want to think about is you're marketing yourselves, okay, and we're marketing ourselves to these coaches. You know, what's the biggest obstacle for kids going to college is becoming independent, learning to live on their own. They have to get to class. They got to do their homework. They got to get to practice. You know, nobody's going to be there. You know, and the team I help out with in college, you know, we set our times. If they don't come, we don't find them. They just didn't come to practice. We're not going to play them. If they don't go to class, nobody's going to find them. They just fail them out of school. They just kick them out of school. So they're trying not to have that happen. So they're trying to get a good feel. When we go over the rules, they cannot really contact you that much as you would like. They can't come out and play a round of golf with you. They're not allowed to do that stuff. So they have to get a really good feel for who this kid is before they pick them. So that's why they're going to ask for this. And it can be obvious if you see it. The other thing is there are recruiting services out there. College coaches hate that because they'll do form letters. Just a really annoying thing to read the same letter over and over again. Again, you're trying to get a feel for the kid and who they are, and you're getting a form letter. That's not who they are. So I would recommend, if you ever see one of those, they're not the best thing in the world to go for, and they're kind of expensive too. So that's what a letter looks like. That's what we're going to be sending off. Okay. The next one that's going to go with it, you saw we're going to include a golf bio there at the bottom. This is what one of those looks like. Pretty simple. You see just contact info up there on the top. Name, address, all of that. Remember, it's the kid's contact info that they want, because here's the thing they're trying to do. They're going to contact the kid. They will contact the junior. And so juniors in here, they will contact you. Respond. Number one thing. It's happened a couple of times to students I had where they said they wanted to play college golf. I've had coaches interested, gave them their contact info. They don't ask for the parents. They'll specifically not ask for the parents' contact info. They want the kids, and the reason why is they're going to contact you and they want to see if you respond. They want you to respond. even if you decide you don't want to play or you're not interested, just tell them. Just be respectful of them and say, hey, this is it. Because you never know, you might change your mind and say, hey, are you still available? My situation's changed. Never know. You just want to do that. So you'll have all that up here. Grade point. If you're taking the SAT or ACT, you'll put that score. If you haven't, if you haven't and you have it scheduled, it's a good idea to tell them. That just shows them you know what you're talking about. If you do have a handicap, you can put that up there. And then any extracurricular activities, high school stroke average for you girls in here, I keep that for you. So if you ever need it, ask me. I have it, and I'll keep it for as long as I have to. So extracurriculars, played basketball. You did student council. If I'll have kids come work and help me with volunteering. Put that on there. That's great. They're trying to get a feel for who the kid is. They want to kind of get to know them as best they can without the fact the rules of recruiting don't allow them to really get to meet the kids. So that as much as they'd like, at least. And then at the bottom, a little section of tournaments that they play. Okay, and we're going to go over tournaments in a little bit. I will say this: high school tournaments, you just want to do the 18-hole tournaments. High school golf doesn't hold that as much weight as we'd like it to in the college golf world. The courses tend to be easier. They know the situation's a little rough where you're coming off of a bus. You never know what's going on. The courses can be in bad shape. But the bigger 18-hole events, that's what they want to know, because you always play 18 holes in college. They don't, 9-hole matches they don't exist, basically. So you want to do those. That's why one of the reasons with Macaulay, I'm trying to schedule more and more 18-hole events and get rid of some of our 9-hole matches because it can help you. Any local tournaments, I'm going to do tournaments here. Those can go on there. IJGA state tournaments, those will go on there, and you'll see I have tournaments listed on the sheet for you if you want to know what to play. And then national tournaments for sure if you do any of those. Now, I don't know if you haven't played any of the local or state tournaments, you don't want to be jumping into national tournaments, but if you ever get there, those are obviously really, really good things to put on there. You don't have to include them all. Remember, you are marketing yourself, so we don't need necessarily everything. If you have a really, 4 or 5 good ones and then you have a really bad tournament round, you don't have to put that one on there, okay? You can leave one off. That's fine. You're just trying to highlight what you can do when you go through this. So, any questions so far? Resume, letter, that stuff? Okay, cool. Well, I'll ask for more questions at the end too. So that's your resume right there. And you can see, again, I hope I have this on here, this whole thing on that sheet, so hopefully you can remember it. The next one's going to be referral letters. Again, high school coaches, anybody that, a PGA professional that coaches you. Some of you, that's the same person in here, right? So I've been doing this quite a bit of late, actually. The thing I've always learned in doing this is don't be afraid to ask. There's people always trying to help you out and get where you want to go. I mean, I'm happy to do it. I always feel a little honored to do it. I'm excited to do it. The one thing when you're going through and doing it, just assume the person, give the person enough time to do it and let them do it. I had a kid ask his high school coach, and I know his coach, and he's got 4 kids. He coaches the basketball team, and he's a teacher. He's doing it all at the same time. So, I said, make sure he has a month to write it because he's busy. So just always think about that. Go ahead, and it's better to get it done earlier than asking it and doing it in a rush as you go through. And then kind of the last part is your swing video. This is not, I'm going to show you a little bit in a little bit more, I think, more important stuff, but a swing video is still important. So this is a student of mine. We just did this one, or he just did it. Again, kids, you're doing all of this, by the way, so just showing you how it's done. You can see it's just, we uploaded this to YouTube, and what it is it's just a video from this angle face on, and you can see we've put the camera right in line with his hands, and then we call it down the line. We're just looking straight out at the target. The only thing you want to do in this is you want to be consistent where you put the camera. that looks good, okay? Consistency in the camera looks really good. It kind of doesn't matter where it is, but it should be consistent. So what I always do is line it up with the hands. You know, when I'm looking this way, I always look at the hands. And then, you know, this one, Dad was shooting this one and he had it out here. That's fine. He did it on every video. That's okay. I always put it in the hands just because it's easier to remember. You know, line it up with the hands every time. So you're going to get two swings at least, where you've got from this view and that view. You can see he's labeled it. You can't see it actually, but down here it does have a label of what club he's hitting, and it does say his name and class of 2018. And it's a 3.5 minute video. Again, there's no fluff to this. This is, if you were to watch this, this is just swing after swing after swing. And you just remember you're trying to respect their time, make something that they want to watch. So he started at a gap wedge, one of his shorter clubs. Then he hit another short club, so like his pitching wedge, and then he went every other club up to his like driver. Okay, so you don't have to hit every club. You're just trying to give them a good range of clubs for them to hit, and then you go through. I recommend you just shoot it on your iPhone. iPhone's great nowadays for the camera. iPhone also, everybody has iMovie now. That comes with your iPhone. So you just edit it together, just again, no fluff. He actually did 2 swings with each, so if you watched it, you'd see 2 swings with the driver here, 2 swings with the driver there, then he's on to the next club. I don't think that's a bad idea. In case they miss one, they can just watch the next one. And then at the very beginning, he actually had a slide, just a little title that said, here you go, name, address, you know, or contact info, his GPA, and, you know, his scoring average. So just a little mini resume at the beginning to say, hey, this is what I do. So you can get this done. I'd recommend you get it done when you feel like your swing's looking pretty good. It doesn't have to be perfect. They're not really judging, you know, that it's 100% looking like a tour player or anything. They just want to see that you're competent. They don't want to see you hit the ball and, you know, the ball rolls to right there, right? If you see, you know, so I always tell kids when you're doing this, don't get mad at the shot. Just act like it was perfect because they can't see it anyway. So they're looking at your swing anyway. So that's your video there. And you'd put this together. Again, I've done a few of them, but this is something that students, you're going to be doing it. I know Parker said it took them about, after they filmed it and Dad just did it on the range one day, and then Parker did the editing, it said it took him about an hour. He was watching Netflix on the couch and editing a movie. So, you know, something that's definitely doable. Okay? The other thing we include is some stats. This is a good idea, and if you ever need this, you know, let me know. When it gets nice out, I'll have out my launch monitor, and the nice thing is you can just hit some shots. You get some stats up here, and it'll tell you clubs yardages, and so whatever clubs he hits in the video, we're going to include that on there, and that just puts a little context to the swings. Hey, he's swinging his 8-iron this way, and it's going 160, you know, what is it, 68 yards, or 7-iron's 169. So you get a little context into what it's doing. So that's another idea that we can do, and that's something I like to do with it as well. Put a little stats on it. The nice thing about this too is these stats, you can't lie, you can't edit them. They just come out, and all coaches know what these are, and so they know what this is the real deal when they see these types of things. So that's the package right there, okay? That's the golf package. Any questions about the golf package? Remember, kids, you are doing the golf package. So it seems like a lot if you organize it, and we'll go over a little bit more how to get this done, but it's not so bad. It's not so bad once you get it going and you get a good feel, okay? So this next part, how do you stand out from the crowd? You got to remember how many golfers, you think about how many golfers are out there. There is quite a few. Now, there's a lot of space in college golf, especially for the girls and the women's side. It's very, very robust in scholarships. There's a lot of unused scholarships that go every year. So you don't feel like when you're doing this, oh, it's going to be bad. But if you want to better your chances and open up your options, this is stuff that you should do. So the first is make sure your golf package is really good. Take your time on it, put it together, and get it done. And just make sure it looks professional and it looks like something that you'd be proud to hand in to your teachers, anything like that. That would be what you want, okay? The next one's going to be tournament schedule. So you'll see on there, I put out some tournaments on that sheet, okay? That's where I'd recommend you go. Now, I'm going to do 2 tournaments here at Stony this year. Those are like practice tournaments, I like to call them, because you really need to get into those next levels, the IJGAs, the MAJGT, what FCWT. Those last 3, those kind of travel around the country. Those are more national. I think they're great opportunities, but you do need to make sure you're ready for them. And you want to pick this schedule that's going to showcase your abilities and challenge you a little bit. You also want a schedule of tournaments where they're going to say, hey, I know what that is. I know what type of tournaments those are. They're playing at good golf courses, and I feel like I can relate to, I see these scores and I kind of know what they're going through. Those practice tournaments, I use those because playing golf tournaments is a skill in itself. It can be a little bit tough to get into it at first. It takes a little bit of time. So I like to give as much opportunity to give a lower cost tournament to kind of practice your tournament skills, have to go putt them all out, play with people, keep score, all that stuff, and go from there. Now, the question I always get is, how do we know if they're ready for these tournaments? I did try to put down, skill level there and how I would judge it. Doesn't mean you have to hit these numbers. If you can do what I put on there, so for example, on the first one, to play IJGA, and you'll notice that it doesn't say you have to shoot certain scores from this tee box. All I say is if you went out and played 9 holes from the 200-yard marker, you didn't even go to the tee, you went up to wherever it was 200 yards, the par 3s, you just played the tee box, like the red tee box, for example. So that's going to be like 100 yards. If you went up there and did that, could you break 40? If you do that, you'll be challenging to win these types of events. That's what that's saying there, okay? You will have the skills that are there to challenge and win. Which doesn't mean you have to be there to play, okay? That's what we're trying to get across. But if you're looking to really compete and win, that's where I would say you want to test yourself and see if you can do that. That doesn't take into account the mental part of the game either, but that's something we try to work on. But as far as golf skills go, that's what I'd look at, okay? Again, your swing video, that tells a story. You want to make sure that's really, really just put together well. It tells a story beyond just the swing they're looking at. They just want to see, hey, this person put in the effort. This person took their time. They didn't just slap something together. They took time and put together a nice, clean project and then turned it in. Again, they're trying to get to know you, see if you're going to survive well in a college environment. And that's the story you're telling to these coaches as you go. So always keep that in mind. When anything that we do, this is what you're trying to do, okay? So the next part's being a complete player, and I get a lot of questions about this one and what this means. College coaches are looking for, I think there's always a little misconception about it. I think there's a misconception about high school golf too, but the misconception about college golf too, as well. Our high school team, I'm a PGA professional and I coach Macaulay. There are not very many teams that have what I do as their coach. The coach in college is somebody that sets up the travel. He does a little scheduling. He's doing fundraising. He's not necessarily, now sometimes they do, but he's not necessarily out there saying, hey, this person do this, and if you're not doing the right thing, they're going to go tell you. They're not looking at that. They expect you to be able to do that. Hey, it's practice time. You're going to show up and you're going to hit balls. There you go. You're going to figure. Sometimes they'll tell you what to work on. Sometimes they won't. It just depends. So what they're looking for is how to practice. Okay. And what I have here, this is an app that I use. I'm really trying. This year I'm pushing for it. I'm going to get all the players that do lessons and stuff, and our team, if you want to use it, we'll use it. I'm really pushing for it this year that we utilize this because this thing's so valuable. But it's an app called Edufy, and it does cost money to use. I pay for it and lets you all use it, so it's so valuable. I just believe in it. We take a video of, hey, she's practicing a drill here, and then you can type in like a caption, and then it's like a social media for your golf game or your coaching game. Also, if you do fitness, here you go. You can put that in there. Mental game. They want to know you have a mental game. This is a big one for high school kids. Can we get over the mental hurdles of playing the game and handle the college level? Because there's not only the mental part of golf, the mental part of going to college. And then they want to know you have a little bit of technique too as well. So what I always try to get the players to do, and again, I'm really pushing hard on this one this year, is when they go to practice, I want them to type into their Edgify, hey, I'm going to practice, this is what I want to do today. After they're done practicing, this is what I did. And if they did any drills or if they want to take any videos or something, they can do that right there and they do it. But you can just type a note. That's showing them, hey, they got an idea of what practice is about. If they do any fitness, maybe they write down, hey, this is what my workout routine is. I took a video of an exercise. I posted a video of an exercise I like, something like that. They'll do that. Mental game. Sometimes they have to take notes. We do a lot of work on this more when tournament season comes around, but you gotta have written notes. What's gonna calm me down? What's gonna make me enjoy the game? What's stuff like that? And then the last one's technique, and that would be where I come in or a coach comes in, or if you do it yourself, you point out, hey, this is what we're doing. The nice thing with Edgify is if you take a video, you can actually, it will have the analysts, the line drawing software. You can do that stuff on there yourself, or a coach can do it. But the part I like about it is this actually just looks like a running Facebook page, like the feed in Facebook looks where it just goes down. This will all become their locker, or it's called a training space. And then that can be shared with a coach directly. You can let the coach go in there. Now the best part about it is the coach joins it or they don't. If they join it, it tells you. So now a coach is interested in you. And then you can go from there. If you don't use Edgify, you need to take notes and journaling and write this stuff down and create some sort of way to showcase this. That's going to be writing down what you're doing, okay? I'll give you an example of one of them at the end here for you. So that's where a complete player comes in. That's what you want to showcase. So this is above and beyond stuff. This is going the extra mile, but this is making it, you're trying again to make it undeniable that, hey, I'm the person for your team. I'm the one that you want to pick, okay? So with that, you're going to see as well continuing updates. So if you contact a coach and you send them all this stuff, you send them your schedule, you send them your swing video, you're showing them your complete player, you still have to update them as you go. My philosophy is don't stop updating them until they tell you they're not interested. They might not respond, but again, depending on the rules and where you're at and how old you are, that doesn't mean they're not watching. So again, if we go back to Edgify, if they get into your training space, if you update them and you get them to get in there, it'll update them automatically. You don't have to do anything. If you don't do that and you go in the kind of the old school way, you have to just keep sending emails like once a month. Hey, this is what happened. And you got to keep typing up data. So either way works. It's just this way's a little bit newer. It's a little bit more what we're seeing from coaches. The example I always share is, when I first heard of Edgify, how I heard of it was I was standing there with Jordan Spieth's coach, and he was showing me Jordan Spieth's locker. That's how he does it with him. So he's a pretty good player. He does it, and I think if it works for him, it could work for a lot of us. So that's how I like to use it. So when you're contacting them, a couple of things you want to know. There are a few rules, okay? And if you pay attention to college sports at all, you know that there's a lot of rules that you have to know. Now, a lot of the rules are meant for other sports. They're not really thinking about golf, but it's not unheard of for violations to happen. So just a couple of things you want to focus on is ethical conduct. If you're talking to coaches, they shouldn't be offering you like a car to come play there, or they actually aren't supposed to really offer you like dinner or anything either, unless you're coming on an official visit. It's just the way they do it. Again, it comes from more from like basketball, football, and getting players to come from their schools. But you just want to be aware of it. It happened to Tiger Woods when he was recruited. He went to dinner with Arnold Palmer, and Arnold Palmer paid for dinner, and he got suspended. So just weird things that happen as you go. So just always, the way I would say is just think, if it sounds fishy or it sounds like you shouldn't be doing it, then don't do it. And same thing with the coaches to you, and then you to them. Just Don't try to bribe your coach. That's not going to look good. The talking to the coach. This is the one that matters for golf. They can't talk to you, or they can't try to recruit you until you're a junior in high school. So if you send out information and you send stuff, they can respond to you, but a lot of times they won't, because they just don't want to blur the lines. They don't want to blur it and make it anything worse than it has to be. Plus, they might test you and see if you're going to really keep updating them, things like that. But just know that when you're sending this out, you might not get a response. Just know why. They will probably respond pretty quick after you become a junior and say, hey, we're not interested, or hey, yeah, we are interested. Okay? So they'll let you know. But just know that when you're talking to them, you can contact them all the time. They can respond to you, but typically they try not to do that as much as they can. All right? Amateurism, this is a big one. You have to be an amateur to play college golf. So what that means is you can't take money for like coaching golf. So I take money for coaching golf, I become a professional automatically. The other way is if you play golf and you earn money, you can't become a professional. That makes you a professional. Now the other thing that happens is, the example I have, there was a guy, there's actually a commercial in like the late 90s. It was with Tiger Woods, and it was for Buick, and he did like this closest to the pin thing. He just was surprising people on the tee box, and if they beat him in closest to the pin, he gave him a car. And it was just a big surprise. One of the guys happened to be the Orlando City amateur champion. And so he said, yeah, let's play. And he didn't know the rules about being an amateur. He played him, beat him, won the car. It was all on TV on this commercial for the whole world to see. And hey, somebody said, hey, he won the amateur champion. They took away his tournament win from the last year, and then he couldn't play anymore. He had to go back. You have to go through this whole process to get your amateur status back. It takes a couple of years. So you just don't want to run into that, and then have your years go by and you're not eligible to play as you go. You can take gift certificates up to $750. So most places know that when they're doing it, and usually it's not a problem either. So the last one, this is one that you would want to know for golf, is if you want to be an NCAA athlete, okay, you have to register with the NCAA Eligibility Center. You could just Google it. I believe it's eligibilitycenter.org. But if you just Google NCAA Eligibility Center, you'll get it. You have to register. It's basically you saying, I want to be an NCAA athlete. And you have to do it. You're supposed to do it before you become a junior. You really can do it whenever you want to start the process. What it does is put you into a pool of names of, hey, these are potential people. Now, not like you're going to get recruited off of it. Technically, you could. It costs, I think, $50 to do it, unless it's gone up this year. I haven't checked this year.